So if it's recording, yeah, it's recording. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast and stream and YouTube video additionally to it. This is the greatest thing about what I'm just doing right now. This is I'm first of all streaming, which is exposure on one level. Then I'm going to upload this episode on the Twitch channel and on the YouTube channel, and then this all be converted into a podcast, and then all these things will be converted into posts as well. And yeah, so these are 3 layers I'm just hitting up, and this is great. And today, as you can see on the wrong hand, on this side of the screen, we are going to go through a few Quora questions in the in the self-improvement section of Quora, which you can't now see. Yeah, you can see there. So you can just have a few feeds on Quora. If you do not know the website, it just comes up if you Google quite anything. If you just have a question on anything, and if you Google it, then Quora comes up, and has a lot of it has a big community, especially. Also in these fields, as you can see, there are 2 million followers only for the self-development or self-improvement section, which is quite great at my point of view. And today we'll go through the self-improvement section, and as well maybe a little bit marketing and graphic design. So wherever I can provide some value for you and for especially all the Quora people. And I haven't mentioned, and I can also provide value to the Quora people. So it's not only YouTube, Twitch, podcasts, and Quora, which is the total good thing about it, that I can provide so much value through one thing. But we are actually going to start with the first one. So the first question of this person is, yeah, it's working quite fine. It's working fine, yeah. But I just have to see that, the microphone is not really, it's not really taking up all the clicks and everything of the screen. So, what are some ways that I can make my life better? I think in general, being self-aware is just a good thing to start, which means that you should know which things trigger certain feelings of yours, which means that, for example, all the negative people trigger all these negative emotions in your life. This, might be one option. Besides that, working on something that you really love, which is, quite something that I talk about so fucking often, but at my point of view, it's just really important, is also a great thing to start with. So I'll actually write it down. Please try to be self-aware and look at what makes you happy and do that. So what makes you happy and or passionate, and do that, and also try to monetize it so that you can live. I do have a really bad spelling, I have to admit that. So that you can actually live from that one thing, or maybe more things. So I'm not going trying to make the best sentences here, but I'll try to make some sentences and to actually provide some value for all these people who are just creating all these questions, because I think at my point of view people actually need them, and this makes me quite happy that I can really help people which might not be as far in the journey as I am, or maybe not that knowledgeable, or do not have that knowledge that I maybe have. I really don't want to say that I know a lot. I know quite a bit, but definitely not such a lot, but yeah. Sorry. The next question: how can I motivate myself to go to school every day? This is actually a pretty good question, and it always depends on how what your opinion is about school. If you really think that school is an important thing and you should, always go to school and always be the best in school and always, have good marks and all these things, yeah, it would be good for you to go to school every day and do your best. Because if these are your preferences and if this is what your life is all about and this is what actually makes you happy, maybe, then you should definitely be doing that. Can I do this? Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. So I think you might be hearing me a little bit better. Yeah, definitely. So if this is really what you're willing to do, and this is really something that's important to you, then you might some kind of would even say force yourself, because the thing is, if it's what makes you happy, but the thing is, if someone asks you, how can I even motivate myself to go to school every day, this means that they really do not like to go to school. So, and I'm going to answer in this way. So I assume that you do not really like to go to school. I understand, and this is even, I think, the point of most discussions about school. Most of the people just go to school because their parents force them to, or some other people force them to do, but it's actually not really what they like. And the thing is, not all people are really made for going to school. This is just a particular environment where certain people can learn and certain people cannot learn. Some people, as which is Gary Vee talking about pretty often, some people as him just can't learn in such an environment, and they can only learn in very practical and very practical environments. And school is most of the time pretty theoretically. It's like, it's what it is. Some people learn from teachers good. Some people learn when they are alone, when they are alone pretty good, which means that they can learn through reading on their own and going through things on their own and making all the things on their own. And some other people then just, I don't know, they just practice and they just do and they just like to do and create and practice it and so on, which so I assume that he or this guy or girl who is writing this isn't really liking going to school. So I assume that you do not really like to go to school. I understand that some people might force you to do it, and then you really have to think about it if it is actually the thing you want to do. And in terms of motivation, what can I tell this person? In terms of motivation, I think motivation is just more about discipline than anything else. Because at my point of view, discipline is just pretty, or just more important than being motivated all the time. Because if you have the discipline, you will do it anyways. If you're motivated or not, it would then, it wouldn't matter then, because you're so in your element, you're so in your space that, or you're so in your self-discipline mode that you would just do it. It doesn't matter what it is. And this is actually something I'm for myself a little bit feared about, because I just do things. I would probably do the YouTube and streaming and social media thing, even though I really do not like it. And this is the problem that I might have, that maybe I'm subconsciously, even not liking it, and though because of my discipline I have, I'll do it anyways. So I assume that you do not really like to go to school. I understand that some people might force you to do it, and then you really have to think about it if it's actually the thing you want to do. So I think I will just, submit it as it is like this. I often think about answering like, is it really, the perfect answer for this question, or is it even not the perfect answer, or just something that people can't really, use for their benefit? And I just see that I have one visitor again. Hello and welcome to the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. I'm right now on Quora answering a few questions on the self-improvement or self-development task here, and so that I can see to help a few people and see what their life is all about and see how I can help them. And later on I might even go to either book summary, it depends on how everything goes, or I will head to the graphic design section or marketing section to see if there's just someone else I could help in some way. So let's see what the next question is. Just have to see that I'm not only, not only answering only the first questions. How has cheating or being cheated on changed your life for the better? How long does it take you to see if it was for the better? So I haven't been cheated on, so this might not be the best question for me to answer. But let's see. What is one thing you have done that significantly improved your life? Definitely. Definitely. I always write it wrong. This is a word I always write wrong. Maybe I can see. And the thing is, I do have my microphone there. I do have a lot of cables there. It's not the best environment for writing. Really not. And I hope it is not too loud in the recording as well, so that it might distract you from the actual audio. But yeah, so definitely listening to motivational speeches and gaining a lot of of knowledge about things I like. So always, just let the I be a small. Yeah, that's a small letter, because I'm, really too lazy to hold the shift key to make it big. So definitely listening to motivational speeches. This is actually something I've been talking about in the last episode. And this is, this was actually the first thing that really contributed my life to the better, and which really created the framework for me to really some sort of now being here and talking about self-improvement and self-development, because this was the really early starting point in my life where I, started to improve myself through all these motivational speeches of Les Brown and Eric Thompson, or Thomas even. I think it's Eric Thomas. I'm sorry. And later really realized that a lot of these best quotes I had, and all these sentences that were so deeply in my brain, were actually from Will Smith. And this was then a reason why I've really been acknowledging him and really been liking him. So I've always been liking him quite a lot, but then it was like, there was some kind of connection at my point of view. If it's, it might sound really dumb, but yeah. So definitely listening to motivational speeches and gaining a lot of information about things I like and about myself. So what is one thing you have done that significantly improved your life? And being kind. Hope you the best. I think it's always important to just, have some kind of end phrase. I always, tend to like to wish them some, a great day or great week or whatever, or just hope them love and happiness and all these things, because I just see that a lot of people online even are just not that nice to each other, not that kind to each other. And they're all like, yeah, and do this very quickly, and I do not have to be that, kind and whatever, because, this is the internet and I can do whatever I want and whatever. But it's actually pretty important to be kind all the time. So what are the best habits that can make you the best person? What are the best habits that can make you the best person? I maybe would go for self-discipline. This might really be the key. It's. I'm actually thinking if it's self-awareness or being disciplined. But the thing is, I've just been thinking about if you are disciplined, you are also self-aware, because you're not so disciplined I'll go with being disciplined. Being disciplined with all others, with all other habits. This is pretty important. If you can have the greatest and the best habits of all time and from the, entire world, which, in general it is a little bit a complicated question, because it seems like, you can buy habits and you just can't get them. But it's actually pretty hard work to really, put them down into your DNA and into your life and so on. And it's not something like, you can gain it such quickly and something. But I would say, bad habits, you can get them pretty quickly. This is the fucked up part about all these things. That's, the stupid and the negative things, might appear pretty soon. So what is the most positive change you've made in your life? I really can't think of something. How could I stop thinking at all? Thinking at all? Counting to 3 helped me not to overthink everything. Hope you're the best. So this is actually the truth. This is something I've adopted from someone else. Either I've read it on the internet or I've just seen it in a YouTube video or in a motivational speech or somewhere. This is something I quite use, or I'm using for quite a long time. Always when I'm not that sure if I should actually be doing it, or if I'm just overthinking a lot, and if I'm not, a little bit scared of what I might be doing just right now, or just, just, in the near future, I always count like 1, 2, 3, and then I do it. I just do it. And this creates for me the framework of not really thinking about what I'm doing right now. And this really, leads to me just doing the things. Just doing. But at my point of view, it's actually important to practice this with something that's not that hard for you, and that's not such a tough and difficult and whatever decision for you. I always do it when I go into the cold shower. This is something that, that's really a habit of mine, and this is something I just do every single day, and I just do it. It's in my life, it's in my DNA, it's what I do. The thing is, I still do the 1, 2, 3 thing, because at my point of view, as I was thinking about it, just starting with something you have never done and so on might not even be the best idea, because you're not that used to it. And if you just start with something that you would do anyways, and you just do without thinking about it, some sorta, and I hope you get what I mean, then you just create for you the habit of using this technique to really do it and do everything, because your body and your mind is then actually trained to just do it because you made the 1, 2, 3 thing, and then you do it. And it doesn't then matter what it is, which, It doesn't matter whether it is your, I don't know, you doing something the first time or whatever. So what do you tell yourself every day? Every day. I think there's actually nothing I just, tell myself every day. This is, maybe this is subconsciously, I don't know. But actually, I would really like to answer being grateful. So there is quite nothing I tell myself every day, but I should tell myself to be fucking grateful for what I have and what position I am in. You might be wondering why I'm not having this one phrase at the end of it. It might seem a little bit stupid for myself to just do it all the time. Just answering, maybe it's not even the right thing to do. Maybe I should actually be doing it. How do I get motivated every single day? And as you can see, this is already, I think, the second or third questions of 5 at my point of view. If I just, remember correctly, that has to do with something about motivation. And this is actually one of the another reasons or why I'm actually going through these questions as well. It is important for me because I then can understand what people are all about. If people are maybe just about, getting motivated, to putting behind the laziness, to eliminate days that are not amazing, as I can see in the second question, and so on. This creates for me quite my content if I just really listen to it correctly. Because the thing is, on Instagram and on Twitter it's a little bit better, but on Instagram especially, when I go to self-development posts and posts about motivation, posts about, the things I am in, it is either, the most stupid fucking shit in the comments, or just, stupid shit in terms of they just, tag each other, and, it's most of the time it's just they tagging each other, in their circle they have, and in their, behind the scenes program they have, whatever I should call it. But it's always the same thing, or it's just some emojis or some, automated comments. And the thing is, listening there is pretty important. And listening on Instagram with my, or at my point of view, as I'm thinking about it now, or, lately, on Instagram and in my niche and what I'm doing here, listening on Instagram isn't a good thing. And so I was just thinking about what I could do as well. And then I not really discovered, but I really thought about Quora. And I think this is actually a great way so that I can actually know what people are thinking and what topics are pretty important to them. But I actually see that I have to look at, the data of these things, because this might be important as well. And before I forget, why I'm streaming. So today I have been streaming on YouTube, and now I'm actually streaming on Twitch. Why? Because at my point of view, it's maybe not that, not that intelligent or clever to stream on YouTube and upload on YouTube. The thing is, if YouTube goes down somewhere, there's, nothing like a video platform I have then. And, if I just build my Twitch besides my YouTube and besides the other things, I do have a lot of pillars, and I do have a lot of, safety ways for myself, which means that if, for example, Instagram goes down, I still do have Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, and then also Twitch and the podcast. If YouTube goes down, I do have the podcast and Twitch and all these things, which means that if I would be, really be streaming on YouTube as well, I would be too much concentrated on one platform. And in my point of view, it's not the best thing, and it is, better to be spread all around, which, you can really acquisite, or just gain followers or gain customers, and yeah, how can I eliminate days that I am not amazing at? Um, so so if I understand this question correctly, he's just telling, or she is just telling, that she has some days that are just not that amazing, or she isn't amazing at them. And the thing is, if you do have such days, these days appear, and these days are actual lessons. And if you just really do not really, kind of be grateful for all these days that are not great, this is not the best thing, because the good days are only that good because you have bad days. And if you do not have bad days, the contrast is not here. It's often about contrast. And the thing is, if it's always everything really great, and if it's always everything beautiful and everything is working out as it should be, this, first of all, at my point of view, would be some kind of boring, actually. And and also, the term of contrast, there would be no real contrast. So if I understand your question correctly, how should I say? What did I want to say? Yeah, sure. Learning from your failures would be a better idea than just trying to forget them all. It's tough, I know, but it's better, at least at my point of view. Wish you the best. Have a great day. Yeah, and at my point of view, it's actually also important to always be like, yeah, this is my opinion on this topic, because I often see it, and this is actually a post that will come up tomorrow. It is actually something that people always do at my point of view. They always be like, yeah, the best example for this is, if you want to be successful, you have to read 500 pages a day. If you do not do this, you won't get successful. And at my point of view, all these generalizations are complete bullshit, because we are all individuals, and this is good. Because if we would, all be the same, we would all be either shitty or very rich, and that's not interesting, and that's not like life, But what I actually wanted to say, I've actually again forgotten it. I really have to say, only sleeping 6 hours for a week isn't the best thing. But the thing is, studies have really shown that if you do sleep, only 6 hours a week, and then you get the rest of your sleep, or what you didn't get during the weekends or during the weekend, it's okay. So if you regain your sleep you've lost during the week on the weekends, there shouldn't be any health issues. If not, there might be some, and just really not getting any sleep is actually something that really can lead to pretty heavy life, and not really life, but health issues at my point of view, or as I know. But yeah, this is this made it even worse. I do not actually know where I've stopped, where I've started with what I wanted to say. Failures, learning about failures, never mind. I might have even said it, somewhere else, and might then not be that interesting. Is it? Okay. And I can't really I could make it a little bit bigger. I could just do it like this. I think you can read it as well. It's always kind of with these websites, they do not have a portable version or just a mobile version. If you just pull them together, which is called a responsible layout or design, it's always a little bit tricky that you can actually read it, because your window on on here is actually much smaller than mine is, which makes it maybe a little bit harder for you. And if you can't read it all, there's nothing behind the episode. I actually have to see at my notifications. Upvoted your answer to what is one thing you have done actually improved your life. Thank you, man. Or thank you, woman. Is Chain a woman's name? I guess so, yeah. So what is the best way to improve life? There is no best way. What are your 7 best habits? It's hard to tell. If no one believes in you, how can you believe in yourself? And this actually reminds me on something that Les Brown was telling me, or was telling in his motivational speeches, that was actually something I've been really been thinking about, and thinking about like, yeah, man, this is actually right. There's something that makes sense about it. And if I remember correctly, and if not, I have to look it up. He said that if you can't really believe in yourself, then believe in somebody that believes in you, or you should even believe in him because he believes in you. And then I was quite thinking about it, like, is there actually something behind this phrase, behind this knowledge, kinda? Is this even a good advice? Is there something you can use? And I think actually, yeah, because if you really can't, believe in yourself, I just have to believe in someone believing in you. I really have to look it up. Les Brown. Sometimes you have got to... Yeah, this is actually it. Maybe this is a little bit... So sometimes, and I hope you can see this. Yeah, you can definitely see this. Maybe like this a little bit better. So sometimes you have got to... And then there's a hashtag and a question mark, I don't know. Sometimes sometimes you have got to believe in someone else's belief in you until your belief kicks in. This is actually a quite great, quote of him, because it's actually true. Because, you really believe in him believing in you. As I'm thinking about it now, it doesn't make too much sense, but I felt it was great back in the day. Or day, whatever. If no one believes in you, how can you believe in yourself? I'm just wondering if believing in yourself actually has something to do with knowing your values and knowing what you're actually good at and knowing that you are, useful for something. And I do not know. So if I can't believe in myself, what would I do? What would I do to get that belief back? What would I do? And actually, I think, because I do not have an answer right now, I will actually write it down to see if there's actually something I can find about it. But unfortunately, I do not have... I have some kind of paper. So, where's the... just looking around like crazy. If no one believes in you, how can you believe in you? Some sorta actually. How difficult is it to form a habit of doing something you detest? What does detest mean? I think detest is something like you do not like it. Detest. English into German. This is a difficult question because I actually would say that you should never be doing something you actually hate unless it's so important and so important in terms of you need to create your space for yourself to actually be doing something later on that you're actually passionate about and really willing to. So how difficult is it to form a habit of doing something you detest? It is then actually again like about discipline. So it is quite tough because then it is only about discipline. But the thing is that you have to look at discipline like a tank. Like a tank. Disciplines / willpower like a tank. It does not matter in what area you actually so hey, there's someone else who is in the stream right now. Hello and welcome to the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. I'm currently answering a few questions on Quora in terms of self-development, knowledge and business, and maybe later on finances, and actually your habits and motivation, all these kind of stuffs. And maybe I'll then go ahead and go through a book summary as well, see if there is something that I can find, or I go through some questions that are here on Quora as well in terms of graphic design. And I'm sorry if there was just something. Just have to write back. Pretty important. But yeah. So how difficult is it to form a habit of doing something you detest? It is quite tough because then it is only about discipline, but the thing is that you have to look at discipline / willpower like a tank. It doesn't matter in what area you actually build that willpower. The tank is good for everything. I'll leave it quite open now because I think it's often like I pretty much hate it when people just talk in like these secrets and all these shit and just do not tell you straight up what the point of their knowledge or the sentence was. But I actually feel like in terms of this is quite not the baddest idea or the worst idea. Sorry, because if you just leave it a little bit open, you just force the people kind of to think about it and be like, yeah, what does he actually mean? And maybe actually they will see what it is all about. What is the biggest self-esteem booster you have had? Self-esteem booster, I would say, and this is actually then you should actually be doing if you know this. At my point of view, the biggest boost of self-esteem is something you get when you get really acknowledged and really praised by someone in front of other people. So being praised by someone in front of other people. With a little heart there, always giving a little bit heart, always a little bit kindness, all these things. What are the best self-discipline tips? I would actually suggest to do something you do not actually like, but something that's not like you really, really hate it, but something like, forcing yourself to sit straight sometimes, because this really, creates the willpower and the discipline in every area. because you're actually building it in this area, in the sitting area, or maybe actually what I'm doing is taking cold showers. I'll do them every single day. It doesn't matter, it sure does matter some kind of what condition I'm in. If I'm really, really ill, I'm not doing it quite, as, I feel like, it might not be the best for my health and so on, but, or I just, do it not like 1 minute, but, a few seconds just to get it in, because I actually really hate by now, warm showers or going out of the shower after a warm shower, because I really feel like sluggish and all this shit. So what are the best self-discipline tips? Do something really small that you do not really like to create that willpower, like sitting straight or reminding yourself of it, or actually taking cold showers, something like this. Now this is actually something from a book summary I've been discussing actually on this channel as well, I think, and I hope, because I'm actually going through some summaries in my leisure time as well, because I actually do need them quite often for the posts I post on all these social media platforms. Yeah. And actually I quite see, I'm not really sure if I do the Quora questions a lot, because as you can see they're quite often the same questions, but I feel like I have to answer them because the people actually need them. But let's actually go into the graphic design section so that you might, get something from it. And Quora was, I've just seen or just read before that this is actually a company of former Facebook employee, which, or who had the idea of just making this. The design is great, the functionality is great, but the orientation on the website isn't that great. So if you aren't used to it, and I'm a little bit used to it, and this might be because I can really find myself, or really I'm really not that bad in orienting myself in these social media things or online story things. But yeah. So what is the best Adobe software program to use to create logos? I actually use Adobe Illustrator all the time because it creates vector data, which is just, how should I say, it's just lines and boxes, or just, what is it called? It's just lines and graphics which are calculated all the time, which means that you can you can make it bigger as much as you want without it being just pixeled up or having a bad quality. This is the great thing about it. I would use Adobe Illustrator because it's a vector program actually with one M. In German is with double M, I guess, but I'm actually not that good at spelling in German as well. It's just, this might even be the reason why I can't take my A levels, because I'm really not that good at spelling, really not. What's the difference between an icon and a logo? The thing is, this has then something to do with semiotics. Semiotics is a pretty difficult thing. I'm not quite going to explain now because it's actually a pretty tough thing. Is the logo the first step to branding? But I have to leave on the first question. What's the difference between an icon and a logo? a logo could always be an icon as well, because I can always show something that there's actually is in some abstract form, which means that an icon of a tree would then be just some sort of stick with a ball on it, and this then is an icon. And then there's also, I hope these phrases are always also the same in English. And then there's the index, which is then something like correlated in terms of space and time with the actual thing. And then there is the third thing, so symbol, which is then totally created up by us. The best example is the cross of Jesus, for the Christian religion. If it's right, if I say it like this, and I hope I'm not saying something like that bothers someone, but this has nothing to do with being Christian or with Jesus or with the whole religion, but it is actually a symbol for it, and everyone knows if he or she sees this cross, they actually might then be, or they will totally be thinking about Jesus and so on. So what's the difference between an icon and a logo? An icon just represents something, for example, a tree, in an abstract form, which means that a logo could also be an icon. And I'm still a little bit struggling with really deciding whether I should really be making self-development or doing something else, because there's actually quite a lot of things that I'm interested in. But the thing is, I think this self-development thing with a little bit implemented or implements of marketing and design is quite a good thing, and also sports and nutrition, because they just kind of correlate with self-development. What software do you use when designing emblems, logos, etc., and is it easy to use? I said before, I use Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator. You just have to get used to it, and this will always be the thing. And if you're just used to it, it's pretty easy to work with, because most of the Adobe software is just pretty well designed as well, pretty well made, so that is everything in terms of UI and UX, which is user interface and user experience. Everything is working quite well. So how can I make my logo be familiar? This then has something to do with your target audience, actually. It's a tough question. What can Adobe InDesign do that Illustrator can't? I have Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. Should I get InDesign? So InDesign is actually a program that is made for text design in terms of creating actual magazines, because Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator aren't really made for that. Because InDesign has a lot of functions that really contribute the thought of designing an actual magazine and something. So InDesign is pretty much used only for making magazines and newspapers. So newspapers or flyers or actually sometimes websites as well, even though I would say Illustrator would then be a better choice. Or so InDesign is pretty much used only for making magazines and newspapers or flyers, or actually sometimes websites as well, even though I would say Illustrator would then be a better choice. and because of that has some functions that are particularly for that. And I always spell everything wrong. Particularly for that. For only making magazines. So hello and welcome to the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. My lovely visitor. I'm quite now answering a few core questions on graphic design because I'm a graphic design student. Before I was talking more about self-development and self-improvement and some motivational things. I'm now just seeing what I can do for the people which might have some questions on graphic design. So InDesign is pretty much used for only magazine design and newspaper and so on. For that, it's a good one. It's actually a good one. It has really a lot of good stuff in it. Let's see. Maybe I'll do just one more. Actually, 51 minutes in. What icons have fallen out of favor? What company I consistently confused you yet seems familiar? What is the scope of UI and I don't know what this means. What is a minimalist logo? What is a creative design? Creative is something pretty subjective. It's not really something that you can say, yeah, this is creative and this is not creative and this is creative and this is not creative. It always depends. What do you think of Slack's new logo? How do I learn Photoshop for web design and where do I start? It's always great, and this is a pretty good question that it's also in terms of self-development and also in terms of learning anything. Just watch a few YouTube videos. There are pretty good and detailed ones, and if there is something unclear, Google it. Adobe has a good support site. Something, yeah. So I think this might then be the end of this stream and also of this episode. This is by now the longest episode I've ever made, but it was quite fun. Even though it was just something else, doing this on Quora, but I might even be doing it a little bit more often. Even though I'm not that I'm not that learning a lot by myself, which is the best thing about the book summaries, that I can learn a lot as well, and I can really contribute it to you, or contribute you with my knowledge and what I know or have known before, and what I can really think of by reading these things. And this is then really only about you and all about the people on Quora. But as I said in the beginning, there are a lot of good things about this in terms of some kind of the marketing way, because I'm just really exposing the whole Christopher Walk or self-development with tactics thing all over the place. But yeah, and this is the end now. I hope you have gotten some value out of it, and I hope everything went quite good. And yeah, hope you the best. Love, happiness, wealth and success and everything. And I'll actually see you the next time, hopefully tomorrow. See you.